Lee Quinn.
And I'm Romaine Bostic. This is Bloomberg Markets. Time for our futures in focus. The dollar snapping a losing streak. It's gaining post-Fed minutes and before Chairman Powell's speech at Jackson Hole. Joining us from the CME is Chris Gersch, Director of Strategy at Bell Curve Capital. Chris, how are you? Talk to me a little bit about the dollar right now and just how much it's playing into sort of the broader market issues.
Well, I mean, you can't get more emphasis on the dollar right now as far as the energy markets are concerned. What we're seeing is tremendous strength in the dollar with those new tariffs coming out. You're seeing a flight to safety in the U.S. Therefore, we're seeing pullbacks across the commodity side, down on the floor behind me, and especially in crude oil. We're seeing it, trickle down from that interim. We've had a high, and now we're headed towards that 64 level in crude oil.
Well, I was talking to someone earlier today, and he said that if you can figure out where the dollar's going, you could basically figure out the rest of the markets. Do you think that's actually true?
That's kind of a secret. A lot of us traders look at the FX markets, especially those high turnover fiat currencies, the yen versus the dollar and the euro versus the dollar, and try to front run a lot of the energy contracts, especially when there is not announcements. So that being said, the focus is on the tariffs and the dollar right now. We have a very low VIX, so a lot of the traders, as you just alluded to, and maybe he gave his secret away, but he's looking to that dollar strength to see if there is a pullback in any of the commodities, especially oil.
Okay, and when we're talking about oil, when you looked at the Saudi Aramco news that came out yesterday, how much did that really affect the oil market? Because I kind of felt like that was already sort of priced in. I mean, we already knew this was coming. It was just sort of confirmation.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Aramco, everyone knew that Saudi Arabia Prince had, was going to go public, but right now he doesn't need to. We're closer to $70 a barrel with their commodity, and when timing's right, when they need to raise that $2 trillion valuation that they talked about, I'm sure they will. But that being said, there's really no news. He said they're going to go public when it's time to go public, and as you saw, there's really no volatility in the oil markets because of that.
Okay, well, WTI at 67, and you got Brent over 70. Do we stay there? What keeps us at those levels?
I think we do stay there. I think you're seeing a consolidation trade, especially on the WTI side. You've seen it trickle down the interim highs over the last month and a half. It's gone 69, 68 and a half. Now we're at like 68 as a high. I believe the real trade is, will $64 hold? I think that we go trickle down below $64 in WTI before we make a new interim lower high. So I think actually, despite what a lot of people say, Trump's news coming about the strategic oil reserve, we're going to actually trickle lower.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you, Chris. That was Chris Gersch, Director of Strategy at Bell Curve Capital.